Today, most of the world are republics, and those few monarchies that do still exist, a lot of them are only on paper, where kings don't use any of their power. However, I think it should be the other way around. I think most countries on the world should be a monarchy, and I think kings should use their power. A monarchy changes with the times. It can be stable, yet also reform over the generations. A common argument for republicanism is that it is more representative, and that a politician who has worked his way all the way to being the top dog is somehow more representative of the common man than someone who got born into power. The so-called accident of birth is universal, but relentless will to power is not. And I do not consider the current Western system of kings who do nothing except literally be puppeted. The words of the current King of England are dictated by the Prime Minister. He is not a king, he is a puppet. I want good old-fashioned monarchy where the king isn't just on paper higher than the Prime Minister, but politically and civilizationally. In fact, the current King of England's boldest stance was to put his adoptive fatherland above the country he actually rules, and he wants to return some statues to Greece. Of course, he is so weak that he only says that and doesn't actually do it. A good king is a man of action who serves his people. A man who is the highest order giver, who leads his country to greatness. A mandate that is passed down from father to son, not by votes. Since World War I, the age of monarchies has been on terminal decline. Yet around the world, to this day, many monarchies survive and thrive. This is because of the inherent superiority of monarchy. It is not just because a king can, be educated from birth to be king, but as countries like Swaziland has shown, even an unexpected king who is not properly prepared can be excellent and superior to a republic ruled by someone who has been prepared, who has received high-end education, who has received decades of working experience. A king is the living embodiment of a country for decades. For example, the Victorian period is remembered as the height of British, thus Western civilization. It saw rapid technological improvements and better living conditions. All across the globe, the world prospered in this last golden age of monarchy. Those who fight against monarchy often claim to be fighting for the common man, but in reality their motivations are often motivated by greed and selfishness. They want to be on top, and they just are jealous of a king. Anti-monarchism is often anti-religion, whether that be anti-certain forms of the same religion or completely against God. Republics inevitably still have a hierarchy, of course, but that hierarchy is often dominated by the rich and power-hungry. Republics are also filled with warmongers, as seen with the recently departed Lindsey Graham, who was a famous warmonger. And of course, the Roman Republic conquered the entire Mediterranean. It was only once it became a monarchy that its endless wars of conquests slowed down. Military aristocracies, despite having military in their name, are no more warlike than republics. Instead, it gives kings first-hand experience of the horrors of war. This means they know the consequences of their actions. All this isn't to say that there is no place for democracy. In fact, I think parliamentary democracy is a good and necessary thing, but it should be serving the king. The king should have the total and ultimate power, and parliament should act on his will. Many say the crown is out of date, but that argument is out of date. The truth is that the form of government isn't actually that important. I think that if a country is a republic or a monarchy, its success is not determined by its leader, it is determined by the common people. Even a bad king is better than no king. If King Charles were to actually use his power, even though I don't like many things about him, I would see that as an improvement. And King Charles is already seen as the leader of the UK by some who are ignorant. He is the embodiment of the nation. As such, despite wanting someone else to be king, I think he is good enough to be king. The 50-year reign of neoliberalism is coming to a close. The Zoomers don't like it, and the next generation wants something new. That is why there is a rise in extreme right and extreme left politics. It is clear that the current system is not good enough and needs to be changed. And I think hopefully monarchism will rise to at least try and fill in that gap. But of course, for that to happen, the kings of Europe need to actually try and believe in monarchism, because the biggest problem facing monarchism isn't that the people don't support monarchism, it's that the monarchy doesn't support monarchism.